Hello everyone, welcome to Power of 21 with ClearText. I am CS Punshi and today we are going to understand about basics of TDS. So we'll just start our session. So before starting, I want to say a big congratulations for a ClearText champion to CA Deepak Padmavan, who is actually helping us with dealing with the COVID-19 problems. Now we'll just start on our topic, which is basics of TDS. So if you just think of TDS, by name we know that it's the tax deducted at source. But before that, just understand about income tax. We know whosoever earns income, if their income exceed the threshold limit, they are liable to pay some taxes to the government. So they have to pay income tax on that income, whatever they are earning. Now, if we talk about TDS, it's nothing, it's just kind of an advanced tax. The difference is instead of you who is actually earning the income, paying the taxes, the person who is going to give you that particular income is required to deduct some of the amount from the payment they are going to make to you and then deposit to the government. Let's understand this with the help of an example. Think I am a person. I am Sulpi, and what I am doing, I am earning the income in the form of salary. Let's say my salary income is 7 lakh rupees per annum. Now there is another person who is my employer. Let's say ClearText for me becomes my employer. They are going to give me that income of 7 lakh per annum. So on monthly, they are going to give me some part of that income. Now what will happen? I have to actually pay the income tax on the income whatever I am earning. So that I am going to deposit once I file my return. So which means if I talk about financial year, let's say 1920, which means from April 19 to March 20, I will be depositing some income tax on this income, whatever I have earned, to the income tax department when I file my return. So I will be filing my return in the month of June, July around, right? Because the last date is 31st July. So in this case, what will happen? The government has to wait to get that income tax on whatever income I am earning, because I will be depositing that taxes only in the month of July, which means July 20, of the income which was earned in 1920, which means from April 19 to March 20. So they will be losing some interest. They will feel like, okay, you have already earned the income, but you are going to deposit me so late. So here the government come up with the concept of TDS, and what they do, so instead of me depositing that time, they say the employer, who is my here in this example, my employer is ClearText. They ask the employer that while you are giving the income to this person, so while they are giving the income to me, they are going to make the payment for that income, whatever I am earning. So whenever they give me the salary, at that time, just deduct some of the amount and deposit to the government. So that is known as tax deducted at source. So while they are giving me the payment, they deduct some portion of the amount from that particular payment and then deposit that amount to the government. And what I will do, I will, while I'm filing my income tax return, because this is some kind of an advance tax, because I have already deposited some amount. So it's not me who is depositing, it's my employer who is depositing, but this amount belongs to me because this was my income. So since this amount belongs to me, but they have deposited, so I will be able to claim the credit of this, which means while I have to actually, when I finalize my this was total income and this was the taxes which I am required to pay to the government, I will adjust this amount. So this is something like a Paytm money. So if you have some Paytm money in your account and think while you're making some expenses or you are doing something, you are doing some transaction, you use that Paytm money, right? In the same way, this amount is something like it's already deposited on the government account and you will be utilizing this while you're making the final amount to the government. And if the TDS was excess deducted, you can also get the refund back of whatever the amount was deducted. So this was the concept of TDS. So here I gave you an example of salary where you were earning some income and the person who was giving you that income was liable to deduct some amount and deposit to the government. In the same way, if there was certain other form of income, for example, I can earn interest income, I could have rental income, I could have maybe some professional income, right? So whosoever is giving me that is liable to deduct that tax before giving that amount to me. So in this case, for example, let's say I'm a professional here, and if I'm a professional and I'm earning like 1 lakh rupees, so before giving 1 lakh rupees, this person, the person who is giving me, will deduct some portion. So here there is a rate, let's say 10% is a rate. So he will deduct that 10% and the remaining amount he will give to me, and the 10% which he has deducted, he will just go and deposit to the government. So this was the concept. So here, whenever we talk about TDS, there is a deductor who is deducting the taxes. So in our example, the employer was a deductor, which is clear tax. There is a deductee who is in the receipt of that payment, because I was a person who was earning that. So for me, it becomes deductee, and there would be a kind of transaction. So first example which we took, it was like a salary income. So I was earning a salary income, right? In the second example which I took, I was earning a professional income. So that is a kind of income which I'm earning. So government has specified the list, like what are the transactions on which this person, the person who is going to make the payment, is liable to deduct some of the amount before making the payment and deposit to the government. Now we'll understand. So this is the basic concept, like how this TDS actually work. Now we'll actually understand about like what is the TDS on salary. What is the amount that needs to be deducted? Is it like if there's a flat rate, or is it like every time they have to deduct, or is there a limit for every transaction which is happening? So for that, first we'll understand TDS on salary, then we'll understand the TDS on other like income or other expenses which has been made by the deductor, right? So when we come to the point on TDS on salary, the government says you have to deduct the taxes at a slab rate. So again, let's understand with the help of an example here. There is an employer, let's say ClearTax is employer, and obviously ClearTax would have so many employees, right? Let's say one of the employee, I'm one of the employee, they would have like several employees. Now what will happen? The ClearTax is going to make the payment to each and every employee every month. So government says at the time of making the payment or at the time you are crediting them. So something what happens, just think of an example, ClearTax wants to make the payment for the month of April. So when they want to make the payment for the month of April, on 30th April, they say, okay, I'm going to credit that. So in the books of account, it shows an expenses on 30th April. But sometimes they delay in making the payment. So they make the payment on 7th, which is 7th of May. So in this time, if we talk about this example, the amount was credited here in the month of April, like 30th April itself. So this becomes the liability for that person, which means employer, to make the payment to the government for the month of April itself. Right? So here this becomes the liability, but question comes in, what would be the amount which needs to be deducted? So let's say they want to make me the payment of 50,000. Now what would be the amount, what would be the portion of the taxes that needs to be deducted before giving me the salary of that 50,000? So here they say as per the slab rate. So whatever the slab rate may be, as per the slab rate, just deduct. If there are certain deductions, because if you would have also learned about income tax where we have little like lot of exemptions, lot of deduction. So if you claim, you just put that, give that proof to the employer, and they will adjust that while computing this TDS amount. Now, if we just talk about this from this 1st April 2020, we understand the government has also come up with a new scheme, and it's an option scheme where they say there is a reduced rate of tax, and they also says like, but you will not get the benefit of certain deductions and certain exemptions. So it's your wish whether you want to go with that option, or the second is you can go with the old scheme where you can show the deductions, you can claim the exemption, and just go ahead with that. Now, when we talk about TDS, so whether this employer will deduct the TDS as per that old scheme, or that employer will deduct the TDS as per the new scheme. So here the government says whatever the employee want to opt, that employee can actually go and opt for it, and at the same time then employer can deduct accordingly. So if we just talk about, think of an old slab. So here it was up to 2,50,000. The employer was not deducting any taxes. So when I'm saying this 2,50,000, how the employer computes it? It computes at a yearly level. It will take your income, the entire income for the entire year. So here, one important thing, sometimes what happens, you switch the job. So whenever you switch the job, just make sure the income for that particular year you are reporting to your employer, so that that person can accordingly deduct your TDS and deposit the same to the government. Otherwise, what will happen, while you finalize your income tax return at the in the month of June, July, if you have not paid or your TDS was not deducted on time, you also have to pay the interest, which would be under 234A and B. So that interest needs to be paid. So to avoid that interest, just make sure you're reporting your other income also to the employer, so that employer can deduct this TDS accordingly. Now, if we talk about the TDS rate, so here in respect of the TDS on salary, the slab rate needs to be used. Like if up to 2,50,000, the rate would be nil. If it's between 2,50,000 to 5 lakh, it's 5% of the total income exceeding 2,50,000. And if it's between 5 to 10, then it's 12,500 plus 20% of the income exceeding 5 lakh. And if it's above 10 lakh, then it's 1,12,500 plus 30% of the total income exceeding 10 lakh. So this is as per the old scheme. But here, when we're talking about this slab rate, you can also claim certain deduction. So let's say your income is 6 lakh rupees, but you have also you would have done some investment under ATC. Maybe you have opted for LIC scheme, you have deposited some amount in the PF, or you have opted for 5-year FD and all. So that is ATC deductions you have done. So you have already exhausted that limit of 1,50,000. So what will happen here? Since your income is 6 lakh rupees, so you will claim this extra 1,50,000 as a deduction. So now your income will become, if you just compute the tax on that, so it's like 6 lakhs minus 1,50,000, which will come around 4,50,000. So if we talk about 4,50,000, so your slab rate will go under 2,50,000 to 5 lakh, which means 5% of the total income exceeding 2,50,000. But here there's another thing which is rebate under 87A. But you will also will get the benefit of that rebate under 87A, and you don't even have to pay the taxes at all because your income was below 5 lakh. Right? So here the gross income, the means if you just talk about before the deductions and all, the income was 6 lakhs, but after deduction the gross income was less than 5 lakh rupees. And whenever your the net income is less than 5 lakh rupees, you also get the benefit of 87A, which is another rebate. You will understand about this detail in income tax lecture which we have. So here, after that, you will get some benefit, and in this case, the employer is not going to deduct any TDS. But think of a person whose income are actually high, or maybe you have not even given that investment proof to your employer. So if you have not deposited that investment proof to the employer, maybe a declaration, because in the initial days, you will not have that investment proof because you are going to make that investment only in the month of Feb or March. So in that case, you can just give a declaration to your employer so that that person can accordingly deduct your taxes. So here you can either go with the old scheme, or you may also go with the new scheme where this is the slab rate, but you will not get the benefit of like LTA, conveyance, allocation allowances, children education allowances, standard deductions, HRA, daily expenses, help allowances. So all of these allowances will not be given to you. But if you look into the slab rate, it's really like a small. So here up to 2,50,000 is nil, from 2,50,000 to 5 lakh, it's 5%, and obviously you will also get the tax rebate up to like from 5 to 7.5 lakh, it is 10%. So this is how you can actually use the slab rate. Now, if you want to make a choice whether you should go with the old scheme or the new scheme, we have already built in the tax calculator. We'll also share the link of the tax calculator so that you can decide whether you should opt for the old scheme or the new scheme. So this is how your employer is going to deduct the TDS while making the payment to the government, or while making the payment to you, and then after deducting the TDS, that will be the payment will be made to the government. Now we were also discussing on certain other things. Certain other things can be like, for example, a deductor. Here in general, because we talked about there's an employer and an employee, where employer actually deduct the taxes whenever he's making the salary to you. But there are certain other transactions like professional fees. There could be a person who is giving a professional fee. There could be a person who is giving rent. There is a certain contracts. There is certain interest. There is contractual payment. There is also sale of immobile property. So there are a lot of transaction on which this TDS needs to be deducted. But question comes in, who is liable to deduct this TDS? Who should take care, like whether I am liable to deduct the TDS? So here, most of the deductor, whenever we talk about the deductor, it's all type of person like partnership firm, LLP, company, AOP, BOI, local authority, bank and insurance company. Or it could also be individual and HF only if their sale, turnover or gross receipt exceed 1 crore if it's in a business or 50 lakh if it's in a profession in the preceding year. So it means if you just look into this thing, most of the individual and HGF is not even required to deduct any TDS. But obviously there is an exception to this, and exceptions are if you are purchasing an immovable property. Then if you are an individual and there is a limit, and if you are purchasing that immovable property which is more than let's say 50 lakh rupees, in that case you are required to TDS. Or maybe if you are an individual and or an HUF and you are making the payment of rent which exceed 50,000 rupees, in that case again you have to deduct the TDS. Or maybe if you are making a contractual payment and the amount is more than 50 lakh rupees or up to 50 lakh rupees, again in that particular case you have to deduct the TDS. We'll understand about these three cases in detail, like what are the form needs to be filed, and is it like 50,000 or both, or is more than 50,000. What all our scenarios are, we'll discuss all of the scenario in detail. So now you will understand if you're an individual and HF, you have to just make sure of these three payments and the limit of these three payments. Apart from that, the other person like partnership firm, company, LLP, or if you are individual and HF and your turnover is more than 1 crore or 50 lakh rupees, then you have to take care. Like while you're making this payment, are you actually deducting the TDS or not? Because if you're not deducting that TDS and you're not depositing that amount to the government, you have to suffer the interest and the late fees. So we'll also understand what is that interest and what is that late fees and what kind of the payment we have to make sure while we're making, we have to deduct the TDS on that. If we just discuss on the TDS other than the salary and also the cases, only the cases on which this individual or HF is required to deduct the TDS. So we discussed that there are three specified cases where this individual and HUF is required to deduct the TDS. So the first case is in relation to TDS on sale of immobile property. So in this particular case, let's say if you are when I'm saying deductor, means the person who is buying the property, and the other person deducting, which means the person who is selling the property. So the person who is actually buying the property is required to deduct the TDS whenever he is making the payment in respect of the property whatever he has bought. So here, if the sale value is 50 lakhs and above, in that case, this person has to deduct the TDS in respect of immovable property other than the agricultural land. And this sale needs to be made by a Indian resident to any other person. So which means if you just think of this, there is a buyer. The buyer could be resident, it could be non-resident. But when we talk about this seller who is going to sell this property, this person should be the Indian resident, because if in case this is non-resident, then this TDS will not be deducted under section 194 IA. There's a separate section for that. We'll discuss on that part also, like what is that section and when this person has to actually deduct the taxes. So here, when this person is making this payment to this person, in that particular case, this person has to deduct the TDS and then also deposit the same to the government. Now question comes in how this person is going to make the payment and what is the rate of TDS. So the rate of TDS is 1% and the payment needs to be made using form 26 QB. So it's challan cum return. So that's a challan cum return where you have to put in the information, the PAN of the deductor, the PAN of the deductee, or we can say transfer the transferee, the address of both of them, the amount total, the full value of consideration, along with that the payment, the installment which you are making right now. So all this information needs to be given in this form 26 QB, which is a challan cum return. Here, another important thing which we need to take care is and need to keep in our mind is while we're talking about 26 QB, this needs to be filed every time when you're making the payment, right? So which means there is a due date for this. It's like 30 days from the end of the month when you're making the payment. So for example, let's say in the month of April, if you have made one payment, so you have to file this 26 UB in the month of May. Similarly, in the month of May, if you have made some payment, you will be filing in the next month up to like 30th of the next month. You have to file this 26 UB. And if you're not filing, then there is a levy of interest and the penalty, which we need to take care. So make sure whenever you're buying a property and the value is more than 50 lakhs or above, in that case, just deduct this TDS and deposit the same using Form 26 QB and file this Form 26 QB, just to avoid this interest and the penalty. Then second, in respect of individual and HF is TDS on rent. So whenever you are making the payment of the rent, which is above 50,000 or up to 50,000, in this case also you are required to deduct the TDS, and the TDS rate over here is 5%. So there is another form. We have understood about 26 QP, which was in respect of the purchase of the immovable property, and the second here is in respect of the rent. So whenever you're making the payment for the rent, so for you it's an expense. So whenever we're thinking of deductor, just think this taxes needs to be deducted the person for whom it's an expense, and it will be deducted off a person for whom it's an income, right? So for you, if it's you are an individual and you are making the payment of the rent for you, which means it's an expense, so you have to deduct the TDS wherever you're making the rent, which is above 50,000 or up to 50,000, and the rate over here is 5%. Here, the return needs to be filed, the Form 26QC, that needs to be filed in a year. Like for a financial year, you have to file it after the financial year is over. Or if it's like you're terminating it before, the rental agreement is terminated before, then whenever this rental agreement is terminated. Then the third part was in respect of TDS and contractual payment. Here, if the contractual payment is above 50 lakh rupees, in that case you have to like file, the individual and the HF has to file this form, and the TDS rate needs to be like the TDS rate over here is 5%. Then apart from that, there are certain other TDS other than the salary. So we understood about salary, we understood about the purchase of immovable property, we understood about the rental thing, we also understood about contractual payment. So there are certain others. So we have understood there are certain deductors which are individual or HF and whose income is more than 1 crore or 50 lakh rupees. Other than individual, there is a company, LLPs, partnership firm who is required to deduct the TDS. So for them, these are certain sections where whenever they're making such payments, they have to make sure they are deducting the TDS and depositing the same to the government. So this is type of the expenses you can say, but obviously there is a threshold limit for everything. So for this payments also there is a threshold limit and there is a rate of tax. So at the flat rate they have to deduct the TDS at this particular rate. For example, if we talk about rent, so rent the threshold limit is 2,40,000. So if you are paying the rent less than 2,40,000, you are not required to deduct any TDS. But if you are paying more rent, more than 2,40,000, in that case you are required to deduct the TDS of the entire amount, right? Similarly, the case happens with professional fees. If you are paying the professional fees up to 30,000, you are not required to do anything. But if it's more than 30,000, then you have to deduct the amount on the entire amount. Let's say you are making the professional fees of 50,000. So here you don't have to pay the TDS only on the differential amount which is above this 30,000. You have to make the TDS payment on the entire 50,000. So that is how we have to read it, and this is how we have to look into the threshold limit and pay the TDS amount. Then there comes to be other things like royalty, dividend, cash withdrawals, fees for technical services, where we have a threshold limit and we also have the corresponding TDS rate. We'll just share this as a separate form where you can always go through it and know what are the TDS rate for different kind of expenses we have. Now question comes in, whenever you have to deduct the TDS, can you deduct the TDS and file the return basis the PAN number? So here answer is for the three payments. If you remember, we have told that there is an individual on HF. If they are making this payment, they are required to deduct the TDS. First case was whenever he is purchasing a immovable property, whenever he is making the rental payment and the contractual payment. So these are the three payments where individual and HF is required to deduct the TDS while they are making the payment to the other party. So in this three payment, there is no requirement of the 10. You can file the return basis the PAN, and you need the PAN of the other party and you need your PAN number. Basis this, you can actually file the return. But for other TDS payment, for example, TDS on salary, TDS on professional fees, TDS on technical fees and all, you are required to deduct the TDS. So here, you are required to deduct the TDS where you require the TAN number. So this TAN number, which is a tax deduction and collection account number, it's a 10-digit alphanumeric number, and this needs to be quoted while you are deducting and depositing the tax to the government, because you need to file the return, and the return can be filed only if you have a TAN number. Because once you have a TAN number, you have to go and register on the traces side, and on traces side, you have to actually go ahead and file the return. Now the other question comes in when you are required to deposit this amount. So here, for all the monthly payment, if we talk about, when I'm talking about the payment, the deposit of payment, I'm talking in respect of the salary and the other than salary, apart from that three cases. So for that three cases, we'll discuss the deadline separately. But for other than that, if we talk about the due date of making the payment for the TDS is, in case of monthly, it's 7th of the following month. For example, if I'm talking about the payments which are made in the month of April, so I'm required to deduct the TDS and make the payment for the same by 7th of the next month. And if we talk about the payment which is made in March, then the deadline of making the payment for me to the government is 30th April. And if we talk about rent, your property, professional fees and all, it's 30th day from the end of month. So we'll understand that what are the 3 dates for the 3 cases, what is the due date for making the payment. But for other than this, for all the month is 7th of the next month. And if we talk about March month, whatever the liability we have for the TDS for the month of March is 30th April. Now, if we talk about what if I don't make the payment of the TDS to the government, then there is a penalty over here, the interest. So if you don't deduct the taxes, in that case, the penalty is 1% per month. And if you deduct but don't deposit the tax to the government, in that case, the interest is 1.5% per month. Right? So this is the total amount of the TDS which needs to be so this is a total interest amount which needs to be deposited if you don't deduct the taxes or make the payment for the same. Now the other part is about filing the returns, because how would government know that you have deducted the payment and you have also made the payment to the government? So that can be known by the government only through a form which is a TDS return. So you are required to file the TDS return where you're going to give the details like, for example, the detail of the person who is actually earning the income, their PAN number, their details and other things, so that they can also get the credit. So in the initial, we understood like this other person is going to get the credit and that credit will be reflected in his form 26CS. So how would he know that this amount belongs to me? So this all will be done if you file, you as a person who is actually making the payment to that person after deducting the taxes. So this person would know only after you file the TDS return. So here, that when we talk about the TDS return, there are different kinds of form. If you are making the payment for salary, the form name is 24Q. If it is related to rent, interest, commission, and all this, the form is 26Q. And if we talk about if it's a non-resident payment except the salary, then it's 27Q. In respect of purchase of real property, it's 26QB. And in respect of rental payments, it's 26QC. And in respect of contractual and professional fees, it is 26QD. So these are the different kinds of the form which is used for filing the TDS return. And if we talk about what is the due date of filing this return, so this needs to be filed on quarterly basis. We understood like payment needs to be done like by 7th of the next month, and or obviously for the month of the March it was different. It was like by 30th of the next month. But now if we talk about the filing of the return, the TDS return, it is for the quarter 1, which is April to June, is 31st July. For quarter 2, for July to September, is 31st October. For quarter 3, October to December, is 31st January. For quarter 4, is that is January to March, it is 31st May. So this due dates is for form 24, 26Q, and 27Q. Now, if we talk about the other forms, which is 26QB, which is in respect of purchase of real property. The due date is 30th day from the end of the month in which payment is made. And if you talk about 26QD, which is in respect of contractual and professional fees, it is at the end of the financial year or in the month when the premise is vacated or the termination of the agreement. And in respect of 26QB, which is QC, which is in respect of TDS on rent, the same applies for that too. So one important thing, because I told you that for most of the payment is 7th of the next month, but there were 3 exceptions. So these are the 3 exceptions, which is purchase of real property, contractual and the professional fee, personal one, not the other one, because there is other contract which is 194C, which needs to be deducted by the companies, maybe LLPs, partnership firm. So I'm not talking about this. There is a personal payment. So if you are making a personal payment, that contractual payment above 50 lakh rupees, for them who has to file 26QD, since it's a challan come return, so for them this is the time when you have to actually make the payment as well as file the return. Now if we talk about what is the process of filing, so the forms which needs to be filed, the 3 forms which we are talking about, which was 26QB, QD and QC, this can be filed, because this can be filed basis your PAN number itself. Here you have to just go to the department side and fill in that form. There is a small form. You just have to fill in that form and then file the return. But if we talk about 24Q and a 26Q, the process is little different, because here you require TAN number. And for the TAN number, first you have to apply for the TAN number. After you apply for the TAN number, you have to get registered to traces. After you get registered to traces, you have to actually file this returns. For that, you can use the government offline utility for generating the FU file, because you need to fill in all the information, generate the FU file and upload the FU file on the traces side. Or you can also use software like ClearTDS, from where you can actually file the return directly instead of doing all this procedure. So again, this FU file can be submitted online and it can also be submitted offline. This is what is better for you. So once this is done, once the TDS has been deducted, once the return has been filed, all the other thing, how would the other party know that you have actually deposited the taxes to the government and you have filed the return? So for that, you have to issue a credit form, which is also known as TDS certificate. So in case of salary, you will be issuing Form 16. In case of non-salary payment, you will be issuing Form 16A. In case of purchase of remote property, you have to issue Form 16B. In case of rental payment, you have to issue Form 16C. And in case of contractual and the professional payment, you have to issue Form 16B. And these are the due dates. It's like 15th of June for salary, because you have to annually issue this form. In case of non-salary, you have to issue it quarterly, which is within 15 from the date of filing TDS return, and the same applies for the other forms too. Now, once you file the return, this amount will also be reflected in their Form 26AS, so that they know that, okay, this was the total income which I have earned and this was the total taxes which has been deducted, so that the taxes amount can be claimed while they are filing their income tax return. So this is how this procedure will work. And also there is like a check, like the government will also know that this transaction has been done from this to this, and this person has actually reported this particular income. Because most of the time what was happening, if they were not having this TDS concept, people were not even reporting their income. So here government can now have a track, like this person is actually earning this income and whether this person is actually reporting this income or not. Because if this person is not reporting that income or not filing their return, they are also issuing the notices to this person, so that they can look into this transaction and this person can now file the return and then also claim the credit or make the payment of the taxes to the government. So all this TDS return, if you talk from the deductor point of view, the TDS returns can also be filed through TDS software. So there is an option to file the regular return, the challan verification, the PAN verification of the deductee. So all of this facility is provided in the Clear TDS software, where you can use it and file your return on time. So this is all about our today's session, where we have understood about basic of TDS. Hope you like this video. In case you have any query, you can always drop us a mail. And also, if you have like you want to get more details or you want to understand this in more detail, we will always be sharing you the guides and the links, so that you can always explore it and understand this in more detail. Thank you very much.